and welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I am your host, Aaron Katzman. We're here to speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we are coming to you from the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to email me at Aaron, A-A-R-O-N, at lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. That's Aaron, lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaronkatzman, aaronkatzman.com. aaronkatzman.com. You can find me on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe to the new YouTube channel with his user is Aaron Katzman. We're just all over social media. And back by popular demand. We did a show a couple of weeks ago, and I got lots and lots of great feedback. And it's my pleasure once again to welcome back to this show Rifka Lebowitz, the founder of the very, very popular Facebook group, Living Financially Smarter in Israel, author of Smarter Israeli Banking, personal and business financial consultant, Ola herself, mother of four, Scottish accent, which I'm fond of because my office manager has a Scottish accent, so I actually understand it. I'm not sure if our viewers and listeners are going to know what you're saying, but we'll try anyway. Welcome back to the Aaron Katzman Show, Rifka Lebowitz.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me back. I've sort of lost my Scottish accent. Most people think I'm American already. But I think your office manager probably sounds more Scottish than I do.
That's the truth. So we spoke to you last time. You gave us sort of an overview of what you do and how you help Olim. There's another issue that I'd like to speak to you about. Because an issue that I deal with also very, very frequently, because there's an organization I'm involved with where I sit on the board, and you brought to my attention that you're actually starting to run courses for that. And it's to help married couples, whether they're newlyweds or oldie-weds, whatever they are, to start talking money in their relationship. We know that all the statistics, which are very, very sad, that the overwhelming majority of divorce, the main issue in divorce is usually money. I know Dave Ramsey's spoken about that. There's a lot of academic research about that. I've written about that a ton. I sit in meetings with clients all the time, helping them budget. And this is people who have a lot of money, right? These are clients of mine who I manage their money for them. And it gets really nerve-wracking sometimes in the meeting, because it's clear that one side of the relationship is handling money and knows what's going on, and the other side doesn't have a clue. And it leads to some really, really awkward situations. So I know Rifka is going to be speaking about the program she's going to be running, but before you get into that a little bit, talk to me about what you see amongst married couples and why you decided to provide a solution.
Right. So couples would come to me, say like, hey, we don't know what's going on with our finances. We're clueless. We've been married 20 years. And when I sit down and I sort of, when we started, I always ask them, like, who makes financial decisions? How did that come about? How do you talk about money together? Most of the time the answer was, I don't know, we sort of winged it for the last 20 years, or I don't know, one of us sort of figured it out, and I realized that the couple isn't even on the same page, or one of them even is savvy about money. And I'm sure you see this when they come into you and they've got investments, and one of them's savvy and the other one just doesn't really know what's going on, is sort of along for the ride. And I was like, it shouldn't be like that. And what I realized was that if we rewound and went back 20 years, what happens? Couples get married, they're busy, there's a lot to discuss, there's a life to build together, and money conversations generally go around like, hey, can we afford ice cream? Can we afford to eat out? Can we afford this? Can we buy a car? And they're not really deeper than that. And couples don't really realize how much the deeper part affects their money relationship, I'll call it. And they don't really realize how much that, how they set themselves up from day one with their money affects their whole trajectory of what's going to be with their money. So just as an example, okay, you got a couple, he knows more, she knows more, it doesn't really matter. And one of them sort of takes over the money stuff because the other one doesn't know. And instead of starting at exactly the same starting point, one of them goes ahead, the other one stays behind, and the one that went ahead with the knowledge, with the investing, with whatever, goes more and more ahead, and the one that's behind just isn't in the picture. And I thought that was it was a shame. Like, I'm like, they wanted, ideally, when you ask them after 20 years, like, had you wanted to be involved at the beginning, you now know what was going on. Would you want that? And the answer was a resounding yes. Even from people who don't like dealing with money, the answer would be yes. Like, I actually do want to go no, because it really affects your day-to-day life, how much money you have, how much you're spending, what's going on. So it seemed to me that people really, really wanted to know what's going on, even when they're scared of money. And I was like, you know what? If I could somehow educate people when they're first getting married and get them to talk about money, to open up that conversation, maybe we can avoid that frustration, resentment, putting people in, one in charge and one not knowing what's going on. Let's say we could possibly avoid that situation and make for a better, money relationship in marriage.
So I actually find that it's not just the money relationship, but it's actually sort of however you can define success. But when there is a commonality and both sides are involved in money issues, they both bring their own personalities to the table. There's been a lot of research on this, right? I'm going to stereotype, right? And we're not supposed to stereotype, God forbid. But the reason there's stereotypes is because there's a lot of accuracy in stereotypes. And the fact is, there's a lot of research done. Men tend to be more aggressive. Women are a little bit more thoughtful, right? And when you put each one of those on their own, on the investing side, but even on the budgeting side, doesn't lend itself very well, right? The men will just, they'll trade and they'll buy and they'll sell and they won't get anywhere. And the women will be a little bit too passive because they're thinking and they can't they don't know what to do. Should I keep the money? And they end up keeping the money in cash or whatever. There's all kinds of academic research about this. But when you put those two together, then things, just like the marriage really can gel and move forward, the financial aspects can also gel and move forward.
It's interesting you comment on that, because if you don't mind me interjecting,
no, go ahead.
is that, like, if they don't discuss, let's just say I'll meet a couple and the woman's like super stressed. Let's just say if we're going along with playing the roles, super stressed. And maybe you see this in your office. They come in and he's like, sure, go for the highest level risk investment. And the wife's like, oh, I can't do that. And if they'd sat down and discussed and understood each other's personalities and financial needs from the beginning, it's totally possible that she'd be on the same page as him. Like, sure, we could go for the higher risk. Because everyone has like a need for security and financial security. So it could be that, one person's need for financial security is I have a job and I feel secure. Another person's is that I have a certain amount of money in the bank. And another person's is that they know what's going on and they understand. So for example, I bust a lot of investment myths in the course. Like there's a chapter on letting your money grow. And the idea is that I don't teach them how to invest, but rather I get them discussing what they both think, how they feel about it, so that they can understand, like, okay, if your financial needs are met, we can now invest. If we can't do that, then yeah, there's all this frustration all the way down the line where it's like, well, I don't like high risk. Well, you don't understand it maybe. And if you take the time together to learn what it means and to make sure that you've got what you need to feel financially safe in place, then they probably would be in a much better financial situation. And they'd be coming to your office, agreeing on their risk level, for example.
This is the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. We're speaking with Rifka Lebowitz. We're speaking about money issues and married couples, which is a fascinating topic. If you've got any questions or comments for me, feel free to email me, Aaron, AARON, at lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. That's Aaron at lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaronkatzman.com. Rifka, how do people get in touch with you?
So it's rifkalebowitz.com on the web. Rifka, RIFKA, LEBOWITZ.com. I also run the Facebook group Living Financially Smarter in Israel with almost 30,000 members. So I'm always on Facebook. You can always reach me there also.
Okay. So we've been speaking about issues and what you're trying to do to help married couples talk about money. You mentioned to me that you're going to be giving a course. Can you speak to me a little bit about the course, how people find the course, and the special offer that the Aaron Katzman Show participants can get if they sign up for the course?
Sure. So first of all, it's an online course. It's an evergreen course. It's available for couples to take at their own pace. It was set up for couples, you know, in the first few years of marriage, engaged, married 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, something like that. The funny thing is, I got couples that are married 20 and 30 years to take the course just to test it. And they were like, why is this only for newly married couples? So really, many couples can enjoy it. It's available via my website, rifkalebowitz.com. And we're offering anyone listening to this show a special 25% off. Your code for that is Katzman Show. And if you put that in when you go to order, you will get 25% off the purchase price, which is only $180 to begin with.
And what are you going to be talking about? Like, what are the different classes that you're going to be offering?
So we talk about financial personalities. We talk about kindness with money. We talk about budgeting. We talk about investing. I have 2 interviews with, one's a therapist, about just, you know, understanding each other's money needs and personality, and how to open that money conversation. Like, it's okay to say, I don't know, you know, and, you know, like, what kind of investments do you want? I don't know. I don't understand investments. Or, you know, what kind of history we have in our family. Like, if you're brought up in a family where money was such an issue and everyone was very tight, it probably impacts how you relate to money. So we go into all of that in depth. There are 9 lessons. Each one has, you know, 2, 3, or 4 sub lessons within the lesson to teach you about the topics.
So it's a real thorough, it's not just, and this is what I think is important and the brilliance of putting this together. It's not just how to balance a budget, right? That's in certain respects, that's the easy part, right? It's getting to that level and getting the communication. And what I can tell you is, if you take this course, your marriage will get better, right? It's not just about money. If you can talk about money, money is, I've been in this business for a long time. If I give how long, I'll give away my age, and I don't want to do that. But I've seen so many people, thousands of people have come through my office, and if they could speak about money, that's like the door which opens up the rest of their marriage. And they're scared, all the things you mentioned, and there's an intimidation factor and what have you. And if you just sort of let that go, everything else falls into place, and it does wonders with your marriage. Forget about the financial part, which is great, obviously, but it just does wonders with your message. So, kudos to you for offering the course. Rifka, do you have any final words about couples, their money, and once again, how they can reach you and sign up to your course?
Sure. So my final word is, like, people are scared. It's emotional. There's so much depth into, like, what goes into our money and how we spend. And if you truly want to understand each other and you want to do better in that realm, whether it's for you or you've kids getting married or whatever, reach out, rifkalebowitz.com, RIFKALEBOWITZ.com, and take a look at the course. Get your 25% off with Katzman, what do we say? Katzman Show.
Katzman Show.
Yeah, Katzman Show for your 25% off. And allow that to be your space to be a little more vulnerable and to really get that financial picture correct. And no, it's absolutely not all about budgeting. That's just one section, and it's not the main part. The main part is understanding each other and being able to talk and being vulnerable and being able to say, I don't know, I messed up, I'll start over, we'll try this, I'm willing to learn, and being there for each other with your finances, because as you say, it does affect every aspect of a marriage.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you so much for joining us again. I think we're going to have you back again in the future, but we'll let other people have a chance also. Rifka Lebowitz, where you can, thank you so much for joining us. You've been listening to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak about your life, your money, and your investments. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to email me at Aaron, Aaron, at Lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. That's Aaron at lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaronkatzman, aaronkatzman.com. You can find me on Twitter. Be sure to sign up for my YouTube page. And it's been great. Rifka, once again, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. Pleasure to be here.
My pleasure. And we'll talk to you all very, very soon.